Well, just before I start, I just want to say thank you to Silent Mike. Most people know Silent Mike. If you don't, I'll put his link at the bottom in the information area. I was having problems with my image map code, trying to get it to work properly on my YouTube channel, but he pointed me in the right direction and it's all working now. So cheers Mike, thanks a lot mate. So this has been produced by Fred Barton Productions, and Fred is best known for his restoration work on various robots that have been used in the movies from way back from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s all the way through until the present day. And as well as restoring them, he also makes replicas of these robots. Now when I say replicas, I mean full-size replicas, not scaled down figures, a full-size character robot, and he sells these from his website. And this is the first time that Fred has offered a one-to-one bust. Instead of being a full character, he's offering a one-to-one bust. And so it was more affordable for me personally. So this I think first appeared on Fred's website towards the latter part of 2010. I didn't initially order straight away. Like everybody else, I was waiting to see some production photos to see how he was going to look. And so eventually they started to appear on the forums, and I placed my order in probably towards the end of February 2011 or start of March possibly. And in theory I hadn't got long to wait, because he was due to be shipped in about March or April time. Unfortunately there was all sorts of delays and there was a few problems in production. A few of the very early pieces that were shipped out were getting damaged in transit. So Fred had to go back to the drawing board, make Robocop stronger so he would survive the transportation to our homes. So eventually I got mine, I think it was end of January or start of February this year. So it's been a long old wait to get this piece, but finally it's arrived, and I'm thrilled to say that it's a really nice looking bust. It's not perfect, but it's a really good looking bust, and I'm going to go into further detail and give you my views, and you can give me your views and let me know what you think. Okay, what we'll do then is just start off with the boring stuff as usual. So there's the front. As you can see, there's a metallic plaque just at the bottom of there. Not a particular fan of this plaque. To be honest, it looks a bit cheap. It just looks like a cheap piece of tin. And then there's a Robocop logo printed on the front. As you can see, it's just simply painted a matte black. There's various nuts and bolts, grid type things applied. Moving around to the back, you can see that there's a few stickers. Again, it's not something I'm mad on, to be honest with you. I think I'd have preferred any stickers to be on the underneath of the bust rather than being on the back. But you've got one for Fred Barton, another one for Fred Barton by way of his website, and then some copyright information from Orion Pictures. Nice little touch on the side. You've got a signature of the man himself who's created this, Fred Barton, and it's also numbered. Mine, as you can see, is number 19 of 250. So there you go, there's the base. Okay, and while we're talking about the base, I'll just point out a few things that people kind of moaned about all those months ago, and this was this nut and bolt idea and this L brackets that are affixed underneath. Now the thing is, unless you actually go underneath the bust, you aren't really going to see these brackets. Yeah, if I have to be honest, it's not finished like a Sideshow piece would be finished. I would imagine if Sideshow would have created this, then you wouldn't have seen any of those L brackets underneath. But it's all painted black, it all blends in, And like I say, unless you look underneath and to the back of the bust, you aren't going to see these. So it's not too much of an issue really. Okay, so here's where we move up to the shoulder area. And this is one of the areas that lets the bust down. And you can probably see on mine that there's like a speckled pattern effect. It looks like something has touched my bust while the paint was drying, and then it's been ripped away and it's left this black pattern on the back of my bust. It also looks quite untidy around the rim, just there, as you can see, and there's a bit of composite or knobble of the fiberglass just in the corner there. So I mean, really all these things shouldn't really be there really. I mean, if you're finishing something properly, you shouldn't be able to detect areas like that. You can probably see a bit more of there as well, where something get touched and pulled away, and there's also some what appears to be a few vertical scratches just there as well. The rear on the whole is not finished as well as the front of the bust, as you can see from this area and these sort of that kind of screw area there. It looks a bit rough around this area. As you start going up, things do start to improve. The lines start to look a bit cleaner. Moving on to the back of the neck, which is also nicely done, painted matte black, as you can see. And then you've got the back of the head, which is finished fairly good. I say fairly good because it's not perfect. Again, I'm not sure it's something that pick up on film, but you can probably see it looks a little bit rough around this area. I think it just they needed to use some smoother sandpaper. But the impression I get is that what Fred has done, and from what he's told me, is that he's tried to concentrate on the areas that we do see, and then the areas that we don't see as much may not be quite finished as well as the other parts, which in my opinion is not the way to go, to be honest with you. Because for instance, if I wanted to have this as a centerpiece in my room, in other words something that you could walk all the way around on and see the back as well, then really I wouldn't really want people to see these more roughly finished areas. Now you can just see the underneath of my base there. Okay, so it looks like what has happened is that the underneath of this base probably wasn't quite as level as it should have been. So what they've done is sanded it down to make it level, which is not a problem. But as you can see, after they'd sanded it down, they didn't bother to repaint it to matte black. So as you can see, the bottom of mine, it wasn't finished properly. The chin guard is nicely done. It's very, very tidy. I don't have any complaints with the neck area or the chin guard. It's painted kind of like a satin or matte finish black. And then you get to see obviously Murphy himself, or part of him I should say. One of the things that cropped up on the forums was the paint moving slightly onto the chin guard. Now I'm happy to say that from the early pieces, this seems to have been improved, and it's not so prominent as it first was on those original pieces. So it's a lot tidier, and I would say that it's no worse than any sideshow piece that I own. If I look closely enough at my Terminator, then I can see a similar kind of overlap of the skin onto the jacket. So it's no big deal on Robocop. There's another close-up of Murphy. You can make your own mind up on the paint overlap. You can see it in places maybe towards there a little bit, but it's no big deal really. One of the other issues that people were saying is that they're not too happy with the painted teeth. Now this is another area that it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I can understand that it must have been pretty difficult to get the paintbrush in a gap that's probably no more than 6 or 7 mil. So the work that's been done in that gap is acceptable in my books. That's that infamous release bolt that you see in the first movie that he uses with a sort of a electric drill and takes out the bolt and then removes the head. Just one more close up there of the rear of the neck. Nicely finished. So that's it, and finally I'm just gonna finish off this video. Fred's obviously done a great job of putting this together. It's nicely done. I would imagine that after taking the original moulds from the original Robocop suit, then Fred would have had to have spent many hours cleaning things up and making it look good. On top of that, he's given us a first-class paint job. It's mainly built up of a silver base coat, and on top of that it's got a tint of blue, and the blue, it goes into a darker blue in some of the more recessed areas, around these lined areas, across the chest and across the shoulder area, and then on top of that it's got a hint of purple, and the purple areas can mainly be seen towards the top of the armour on the chest on both sides. A little bit down there, and also you've got a few hints of purple just on the side and round the back, but all that is then finished with a clear gloss lacquer, and as you can see it's got quite a substantial shine to the finish. You know, it's one of the best paint finishes that I've seen. Well, it's the best paint finish that I've got in my entire collection. It's a hell of a lot better than the Iron Man finish that I've got. It really does look stunning. It does have a few elements. If you catch it in natural daylight, you can see a few speckles of dust that have settled underneath the lacquer, but those are very hard to see. So on the whole, the paint finish, it really is the star of the show. It really does look stunning, and Robocop, it looks like Robocop. It looks accurate. The colouring looks accurate. As I understand, the finish, as far as the colour goes, is based on elements of all the films really, I think. As you know, I think it was more silver in certain films, and then I think towards Robocop 3 tended to look a bit more purple as we were on the third film, but he's a combination of all those films. So that's it, that's the end of the review. I hope you've enjoyed it. By all means, if you want to give me your views on what you think, whether it be good or bad, I don't mind. You can give me your impressions. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.